In this video, we're going to set camera and lights, but before we do that, I just want to right click on this stand action clip, and just loop it once. So I'm coming down here to the repeat, just going 2 and return. Now it runs off the edge of our 200 frames that I've got selected down here on the timeline. Okay, so we're going to change the window layout back to our default setting up the top. And there's our character. I'll just rewind our timeline to the beginning. Now we want to set a ground plane for our character. So I'm going to put this 3D cursor into the middle of our stage by going Shift S, cursor to center, so it's at the 0, 0, 0 point. I'm going to change back to object mode. I'll come down here to add. I'll come up to mesh and plane, and it's added just a plane. And I'm just going to scale that out. I can do that in object mode, so I'll just go S. Now you'll notice that let's put a keyframe in here, down here on the timeline. So I'm just going to switch off our auto key because we don't want keyframes on all of our props and lights. I'm going to delete that by just coming down the bottom here and going available keyframes and hitting this little cross to delete that keyframe so it doesn't move. I'm going to scale it up more, pretty big. So when you rotate around, if you get lost, you can go underneath the plane there. Well, this so we can see some lights. We have got one light in here already, so let's select it. I'm going to go 1, move it across this way, move it up. If we come over to the side here to the tabs, we can see there's a light icon. So that's a point light, which is a bit like a bulb. I'm going to change it to a sun, and that gives us a directional beam, which I'm going to rotate, go R, rotate to our character. I might put it up a little higher. Go rotate, rotate it down. And we'll have a look from the top. And I'm going to move it forward, across a little bit, and rotate it around. And I'm just going to scrub that on the timeline because I want to see where the character's going. That should be fine. It's infinite, so it'll hit him no matter where he walks. Now I want to put another light in. I'll actually rotate that around a little bit more. I'll put it over here as a backlight. So about here. So I'm coming down to add down the bottom, lamp, and I'll make this another sun. However, I want to come down the bottom here and go no shadows. I'm going to go 1, move that up. Now this doesn't have to be as high because it's a backlight. I'll rotate it across to our character. I'll go 7 again, rotate it around so it's pointing in the correct direction. Now I want to add a third lamp in here. I'll put it over here. Actually, I'll put it more here. This will be a fill light. So this first one was our key light. A little bit hard to select with this ground plane, so I might just select the ground plane and move it to another layer. I just did that by hitting M, moving it to another layer. We'll move it back when we need it. So this lamp here is our backlight. This is our key light. So this one is going to be our fill. I'll go add lamp. I'm going to add a hemi lamp. Now this doesn't have a shadow. It's a softer lamp. Let's go 1. Let's move it up a little bit, and we'll rotate it. Zoom in here a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to go 7. Rotate it around again this way. Now I'm going to just lower the energy, lower the strength for this Hemi lamp down to about 0.4. This one I'll leave on 1. I think I'll leave the backlight on 1. Let's have a look at how that looks. So to do that, we want to move our camera. So there's our camera. I'm just going to scrub the action for a second. I'm just trying to see which direction he looks. He looks over this way, I thought so. So let's move the camera this way. Now what I'm going to do is actually set the camera in the direction that he's looking at. So I'm going to rotate the camera around, just so it looks like he's looking at the camera. I'll go 1. Let's move it up a little bit higher so it sort of meets his eye line. Rotate it up a bit. It's probably going to look a little bit odd when we go to it. Let's go 0 and see what the camera's seeing. Yes, I've got to rotate it level. And let's move it up a bit. So I'm going to control the camera now from inside it. So I'm going to go GZ to move it up a little bit, and RZ to center it on him. Now this is at this particular position in the timeline. Now I do want to animate this camera, so I'm going to switch on the auto key for the camera, and I'll just rotate it slightly to put a keyframe in, seeing the auto key is on. Now I'm going to rotate, I'm going to scrub back to the beginning of the frame. Now our character's over here now, so I want to animate the camera rotating around. So I'm going to go RZ, rotate the camera slightly this way. I'll still leave lots of negative space over here. I'll scrub that forward and see how it looks. That looks pretty good, except our eyeline is not that good. So let's try and fix that a little bit. Oh, I see. He moves back around. So let's put a keyframe in here. I'm just going to go I to insert a keyframe there. I'll come back to this keyframe and I'll delete it. I'll go back to the one that I just put in. And let's go 7 and line that up so he's actually looking at the camera, which is sort of this direction. So I'm going to move the camera down. I'll probably have to set that other pose as well, but we'll that other keyframe as well. Let's get this one right first. In fact, I will, because it'll move now. Let's have a look. So we're getting a little bit high. Let's move down a little bit, rotate up. Now let's go 0 and have a look. Okay, so let's go RZ to rotate it around like this. Still not quite right. Let's go GX to move. Let's move just that way. Now let's go GY. Move across. Get that hand away. We'll go RZ. Rotate back around, and that sort of looks like he's looking at the camera a bit better. Let's go 7 again. Now, I like that keyframe, but I don't like the original one, the first one. So I'm coming back to it. I'm just going to delete it. If I move now, you'll see it jumps to the position that this keyframe's in. Let's just rewind to 0. Go 0 on the keyboard for our camera view, and I'll go RZ and rotate the camera around. And let's scrub that forward. And that's much better. Now we want to end on him as well. So let's go 7. Let's see where he moves past here. So let's rotate this camera around. We'll go 0 and have a look. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Let's Let's put another little frame in back here. So just as he stops, let's go RZ, move it across. We'll just give it a bit more space over this side of him. Let's try deleting this frame now. The less frames the better when you're moving a camera. Or anything for that matter. Anything you're animating. So I'm pretty happy with that. Let's just play it at real time. The wave's not great, but the camera's looking good. Okay, so let's just stop it. We won't render the animation, but let's just render a frame. Check our lighting. Now that's looking pretty good. His hair is quite shiny, but that's a material issue. Let's try a frame up here. By the way, this is rendered and opened the image. So to go back to my 3D space, I come down here and hit 3D. And to stop it from doing that, I can come across, and instead of having display image editor, I can go new window. So now when I render this frame, it's opened in a separate window. Also, you see this is half size. So I'm just going to switch on the layer with the ground plane down here. And we'll scrub that. Yeah, it's looking okay. I'm sort of seeing a little bit of the edge down here, but it's not too bad. We can fix that by selecting the ground plane. Maybe moving it this way a little bit. Let's go 0 and have a look at the camera now. Yes, but let's move the ground plane, so we'll just switch off the little auto keyframe and delete that frame that we put on the ground plane. Let's scrub that again, and that's looking okay. One keyframe wouldn't have mattered, but it's just better to clear it. We are actually getting the other edge now, but doesn't matter. So let's just render a frame on that and have a look at our shadows. And we're getting a nice shadow there. Let's darken this material here. It looks a bit light. I'm just going to select the fact that I don't think it has a material on it. No. So I'll go plus, new. This is the ground plane I'm putting the material on. Let's just pull that down to a dark brownie colour. Let's get rid of that specular off it. We'll render that frame again. That's looking reasonably good. That hair texture on our character is starting to annoy me. I'm just going to click on the character for a moment, go into the materials. There's the hair, and I'll just pull the specular off it. I'll give it a little bit, but not as much. Let's render that again. I'll make this 100%. Just rendering quite quickly. There we can see the character. And there's our shadow. It's quite a hard shadow because there's a sunlight. If we use the spotlight, we could probably get a softer shadow. But I want this guy to be outside. So that's good. We're only getting one shadow. And he looks reasonably lit. We can see a little bit of the backlight there. And the fill lights filling in the shadows on the face. Okay. So in the next video, we're going to look at the UV process, UV texturing process for the character.